Ladies and gentlemen, what the hell? We have an eclipse coming in Aries. This is my sign. It's super close to my sun in Aries, super close to my Mercury in Aries. I know other people with their moon close to this sign in Aries, and it's all about nourishment. Think about Aries being that 0 to 2-year-old baby who needs to be nourished, okay? Think about a woman who is pregnant. When she's pregnant, she grows milk. She is able to produce milk from her bosoms. Why? To feed the baby. Now, think about when the mother does not have a baby on the way. She cannot produce that milk, okay? She doesn't lactate. What am I saying? This new moon in Aries, this solar eclipse at 19 degrees is a new beginning on finding sources that nurture us and realizing that those sources that nurture us are actually objects of affection. So Aries is about self-discovery with the North Node here in Aries. I have plenty of videos out there on the North Node of Aries telling you about why you don't really know what you want. You don't really know what you need. You don't really understand that your needs and your wants are basically one thing, and you don't know how to differentiate them. Now, what's beautiful is Scorpio is the energy that quincunx Aries, and it's happening in one of the Scorpio moons before the eclipse in Aries, right? So this new moon eclipse happening in this ninth house of Scorpio moon is allowing us to find inner peace with things that nurture us. And it's about merging with a power that actually supplies what was once traumatic to us. If we didn't get our needs met and nurtured, now think about it. I know for millennials out there, for baby boomers, there are plenty of the adults who are older than millennials that never got their needs met. Whether they were financial needs, whether they were wealth needs, whether they were needs to just be heard. This is all about children, babies. Babies need a tremendous amount of attention, okay? They are pretty much entirely dependent on what you give them and the affection. You, as a parent, were the object of affection of a baby. So we have to understand how to reverse engineer that. If we didn't get a form of affection, this new moon is saying you have the opportunity to essentially let that go, be like an Aries, and be forgiving, because babies are tremendously forgiving. 0 to 2 years old baby, you can do something, you can take their bottle away from them and they're like, you're the worst person on the planet. And then you can give that bottle to them the next second and they're like, you're the best person on the planet. And they start smiling at you, like, and they look up and you see this bright joy in their face and this brilliance, and it makes you feel like, I want to give you more of what you need. But if you find yourself in a space where you didn't get that same form of nurturing and you want to withhold that, this is the kind of energy that ultimately is not going to play well for you in the long run, and more important, it's not going to play well for society, okay? Because Mercury is in Aries and it's in retrograde. So this retrograde, anytime a planet goes in retrograde, it's about karmic makeups. Mercury being about our environment. Which environment? The environment of Aries. Our instinctual needs being met or not met. So this instinctual environment where everybody in our immediate atmosphere helped us, supported us, or made us feel alone, made us feel insecure, made us feel weak, and that became a weak willpower. It became your lack of attention span for other people, okay? Because Aries is a relationship axis. So on this new moon solar eclipse in Aries, it's about how you're relating with other people and letting go of your dependency on them, but also understanding that you are the nourisher that nurtures those and what needs to be nourished, okay? And then what you nourished will in return nourish you. So if I'm a parent, okay, this new moon is all about the next 6 months, us having a beautiful, beautiful chance to come back. Why? Because the moon in Aries is ruling what house? The 4th house of retreat, of nourishment, as well as family conditions and patterns. So we have to understand that that's where the moon is going to be during this time frame. The sun is ruling the 5th house of appreciation and respect, self-respect, being able to get our own praise for ourselves. And so these, with Chiron and Aries at the same time, and the North Node of Aries, Chiron is saying, hey, you have an opportunity with your parents to heal the wounds to your identity and how you've identified as a black man, a fat woman, a hungry person, somebody who's poor and living from a scarce mindset, or somebody who's completely wealthy and identifying with that. These are all the different levels that you can look at and have a mental healing process, because leading up to this new moon in Aries, we have Mercury, which is going to be in Aries, is going to conjunct Chiron. And not only will it conjunct Chiron, I already passed that, and not only will the sun conjunct Chiron and become aware of where we didn't receive that appreciation and the respect that we deserved, okay? And we were punished for doing something that felt alive to us, that felt vital, that felt like, oh my God, I have so much vitality, love, and joy for life and everything around me, and everything is brilliant. Everything is so inspiring. The people I'm around is inspiring. If you weren't allowed to be around those people, if you weren't allowed to engage with them, if you didn't feel like you were a source of inspiration for your parent, you will likely be the one to suffer during this new moon. This is the ugly, this is the bad side of this new moon solar eclipse. But the good thing is you don't have to stay there. Because it's a new moon, you can actually decide, I'm going to manifest by giving that thing that I lacked, that giving that thing that I found scarce. So you found money to be scarce in your life and your parents didn't give you money or give you an allowance, and you felt like, oh wow, other children got that and you didn't, and that was a form of affection that mattered to you, but it didn't matter to your parents. Understand that it was never personal, and your parents may have had a different love language. Start putting the focus on the things that they did give you. Put the focus on the optimistic viewpoint on, well, here's the survival situation that my mom was in. Here's the survival situation that my father was in. Here's the situation and the energy and the behaviors that my father acted from. Aries being a masculine emperor card and tarot type energy, my father acted from a place of insecurity. My father acted from a place where he never really approached his fears. He actually approached his fears by being a Gemini and moving around and avoiding and basically social acquiescing to the environment around him, saying, well, everybody's doing this, if I do this too, then I'm not going to have any problems. Aries and this new moon solar eclipse is saying there's going to be a challenge, and this challenge is going to be about, with the sun there during the solar eclipse in Aries, do you respect yourself? Do you respect the relationships that you've had where you were disrespected to the point where now you're honoring yourself and you're honoring your ex and you're forgiving them because they were just a replication of the way in which your parents hurt you because they were hurt? And it's the kind of energy where this new moon is an opportunity to look at how all of us are hurting each other. And hurt people, sure, fine, but at somewhere along the way we have an opportunity, like an eclipse, powerful enough with the conjunction of the North Node to allow us to rewrite the story, with the power of Chiron Aries to allow us to understand these wounds, heal them, act on them in the appropriate manner, in the manner that we would want our children to be in. Why? And here's the most important part. Like the bosom, if you start nurturing the children and the youth, forget about your parents, forget about your grandparents, forget about what they did to you, forget about the trauma, forget about that. But don't. Use that instead to nourish the youth, whether in school and you lacked the proper education, give the proper education to the next person. You lack the funds, find the funds if you don't have it and give it, okay? If you give what you get, you will get what you receive. And that is something you need to let sit for a little while, because God is watching. This is a very karmic cycle that's happening right now. In Vedic astrology, this is going to be considered Pushan, and Pushan is one of these animals that represent the cow, and the cow can only produce the milk. The mother can only produce the milk when she has something, an object of affection that she wants to produce it for. So how you work your way out of this, if you landed on the negative side and you landed on the scarcity side, you landed on the weak will side, you landed on the side of fear and never really attaching courage to that fear, where you go bravely against the grain and take on the challenge, not in a way where you want to fight and be at war, but in a way where you actually heal the parts of your identity. You heal by engaging in environments where people actually support and nurture you. So if you're not around people who support and nurture you, it's time to change your friendships, time to change the company you keep. It's time to let your uncle and aunt go ahead and live their own story, and you decide, I'm going to change and challenge the grain. I'm going to challenge the family dynamic and walk my own path away from the conditioning, away from the subconscious programming. Okay, this is a lot of what this new moon and the solar eclipse is about in Aries. I want you to hit the thumbs up and the likes button. With Hannah's elsewhere and Joe from Solar Systems, I'm going to be doing a forecast for all 12 signs. I want you to drop in this chat what your rising sign is down in the chat below, so that I know that when we do this, we can give you an extra love, extra support, extra care. I want you to drop down in the chat which way did you get affection that you can give to other people. And if you feel opposite and you didn't get the affection and love that you needed from your parents, where you needed to be gentle parent and just told no kindly instead of being punished for something that brought you joy, excitement, and vitality, I want you to drop down what that thing is and then confirm it with the universe that this thing that I lacked and was scarce with is exactly what I'm going to give to the next. And then I'm going to make sure whoever comments, I'm going to give you in that rising sign you put attached to your reasoning a little extra love, support, and care when we do our forecast coming up April 4th, 2024. I love you for hitting the thumbs up and the likes button, ladies and gentlemen. Subscribe to our email list. I'm going to be giving out individual private forecasts for this Aries solar eclipse. Love.